This business is not sponsored by or affiliated with the United States Department of Veterans Affairs or your state's Department of Military and Veterans Affairs or any other federally chartered veterans service organization. Other organizations, including but not limited to your state's Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, a local veteran service organization, and other federally chartered veteran service organizations provide this service free of charge. You may qualify for other veterans benefit services outside the scope of what this business offers. All disability claims for increased ratings are processed by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. This business cannot expedite the processing of your claim by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live. Happy Wednesday. Again, I'm Coach Kimberly Grant. I'm here with Coach Henry. We're going to be talking about special monthly compensation today. A pretty straightforward topic, if I may say. And of course, before we get started with our presentation, definitely sound off in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Maybe what the weather is like where you are. I've been having weird weather in Kansas City all month. If you're an elite member, who your coach is, what branch of service you served, of course. Thank you for your service. So what branch of service you served or branches of service. Yeah, Coach Henry, what's going on with you today, buddy?
What it do? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, I'm excited. Special monthly compensations are always a pretty unique topic to talk about, right? So hopefully there are some that, if eligible, they can qualify for them and take advantage of that part of what the VA offers. But I am doing well. I am blessed and highly favored. Can't complain.
Nice. Awesome. What is the weather like where you are?
I haven't been outside in a little bit, so but
that's okay.
But
that's okay.
It feels very nice though. Last night I did go to my backyard and it was very breezy. So
good.
I always like breezy. I don't like too hot or too cold. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit about me. I came through here as a client back when we were all dealing with that thing called COVID, when it first started in 2020. I saw this guy jumping around on YouTube saying that he's from Austin, Texas. And I'm like, man, I want what this guy has. He has so much energy.
Yes.
But all in all, his passion for veterans was what really drew me in. So I signed up as a client, came through here. And then, a few, say, maybe 3 years later is when I got to the promised land, to the Hundo Club. But in that time, I was also offered a opportunity to become a coach. And I was like, I'll do this for free. And they'll pay me for it. But hey, I'll take it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Yeah.
Brian Reese, he's amazing, honestly. He smiles from ear to ear. His energy is just like, wow, how do you do that all day, every day? But really, really amazing. I am Coach Kimberly Grant, as I said before. I came here almost 3 years ago, right? It's been great. I'm not a veteran, but I love helping veterans each and every day. It's what I do. It's my passion. I love it. So thank you all for having me. Before I came to VA Claims Insider, I was a mental health professional, worked with veterans along with civilians in the drug and alcohol as well as mental health world. And so the transition was great. So yeah, thank you all for having me. But yeah, of course. So let's see what's going on in the chat. I see Mr. Mark. Good morning, and good morning to everyone again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Big Jim said Denver at 62 Fahrenheit. Okay.
Nice weather.
Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Manuel. Good afternoon. Army retired from Ohio. Hello, How are you? Miss Smith, good morning. Facio, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correct. U.S. Navy, San Diego. I'm sure you have beautiful weather over there.
I feel like just the name San Diego sounds soothing and sounds relaxing.
It does. It really does. It really, really does. Here in Kansas City, though, we've been getting some weird weather. Today is beautiful. I haven't been outside, but I'm by the window, so it's pretty beautiful today. A lot of sunshine, but we've been getting a lot of fall weather, like 50 degrees, and I'm like, what's going on? I need sun. But it's better this week, so I'm happy. Sun makes me happy. Let's just say that.
Mark, United States Navy. He's currently at 90%. Awesome. With a pending high level review after the call. So any day now. You know, it's the funny thing, Mark, that once you reach that promised land, you're like, all those denials and that journey, you'll kind of forget it and just kind of soak it in like, man, it actually happened. I'm literally, wow.
That is so true, Henry. I work with so many veterans. When they get to 100%, they're still in disbelief. Like,
it took me a year. It took me like 10 months to fully say, okay, yeah, it's still there.
Because you thought they would snatch it back away. No.
I was afraid of logging in. I didn't even want to log into I was like, I know if I log in, they're going to see it. But no, it's still there. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that promised land is just amazing. Michael Ray, gone from 30% to 90, still 2 reviews. Awesome on the 90%. All the best on the reviews. I do see a few, again, we'll get to the Q&A at the end. So if you don't get to the questions right now, of course, we have the Q&A at the end. And if you don't get to all of the questions in the Q&A, again, our team in the background will answer all of your questions for you as needed. But yeah, stay tuned for a presentation. Again, if any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll get to as many questions as possible. But thank you all for tuning in with us this morning or afternoon or whatever the case may be, and we'll kick things off.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, again, we're going to talk about special monthly compensation today, but before we even kick things off, let's just talk about a little bit about our program and what education we offer here at VA Claims Insider. So of course, again, our elite program, we offer the strategy, education, medical evidence. SEM. We live by that each and every day, right? Medical evidence wins claims, right? Yeah. Of course, we offer our one-on-one coaching. Of course, when you sign up for the elite program, you'll be paired with a coach and then you have that one-on-one coaching session. So of course, we have our strategy session. We have our claim submission education session. We have our CMP exam education classes. So we do host a variety of education classes, medical exam education classes, as well as mental health exam education classes, amongst a few others, right?
Yeah, people don't understand how impactful that strategy call is, because there's many vets that come through the process, myself included, that you just keep submitting the claim, keep submitting it, and maybe it should have been a secondary. And all this time you were doing it as a primary, and now it's like, oh, okay.
Yes,
so that's why the strategy call is just so important to educate you on where it should go and all of that good stuff. But
right, yeah, really put things into perspective. That's a great point, Henry. Right, because I know, and again, I'm going to go off topic, which I always do. But I know a lot of veterans do think about sleep apnea and going direct service connection. And when you look at things, right, you want to try to get service connected with a primary condition that is going to pair well, that does actually aggravate that sleep apnea, and pair that as a secondary to the primary condition. So absolutely, strategy session is very important. Yeah. And of course, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Of course, we do have our live classes, as I said before. Do book a discovery call, right? You can definitely go ahead and book a discovery call at, again, go.vaclaimsinsider.com, right? Very, very important. Again, you can talk with one of our team members here that will get you information and get you started in their program. So absolutely. And reach out to us at vaclaimsinsider.com and we'll get things started on your claims journey.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, yeah, so VA, special monthly compensation, what it is, it's a tax-free additional benefit paid to veterans with severe service-connected disabilities, right? That go beyond the VA standard rating system. And of course, you can look at that at the 30th CFR Part 4 in the schedule for rating disabilities. So, what this benefit provides is, of course, an extra financial support for those who have lost limbs or use of a created organ. If you've gone blind, deaf, maybe housebound, or require daily assistance, with basic tasks like dressing, eating, or bathing. Right. In some cases, I do see where surviving spouses and even parents of veterans may qualify for special monthly compensation. Right. So again, who qualifies? As I said before, again, you may lose a limb, blindness, deafness, a loss of a creative organ, your housebound status. A lot of times, I will say, well, majority of the times, what I've seen is the veterans who are entitled or do get that special monthly compensation are those veterans that do apply for the ED or erectile dysfunction, and that special monthly compensation comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say for example, right, and these are examples that I see from other veterans where they may apply for ED secondary to PTSD, a very common claim that I usually see, and that ED usually comes back at 0%. Um, However, even though it's 0%, the VA still awards that monetary value. And that monetary value, of course, is because of the special monthly compensation, because you've basically lost use of that creative organ. So again, that's a very common one that I've seen. I've seen another one where the veteran was blind in one eye. So again, that's another way that he got that special monthly compensation. There
Yeah, I look
are
at.
different.
I'm
Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
fine.
Sorry.
I
No,
was
no, I
going
was
to say
gonna
there
say
are different
I,
levels.
I look at the special monthly compensation. Like
Hmm.
I think one time one of our coaches here explained it this way. It kind of always stuck with me. Um, it's like the VA secret menu. Like when you ordering something, you can see everything on the menu, but it's like their secret menu to the side. Um, and it depends on how severe or complex your condition is, and that's how you can access those benefits or access that part of the menu. So, don't ever feel like you can't go for these things. Just make sure you get, you understand what it is that they're looking for, and obviously just go for it because if you have it, you deserve it.
Absolutely. You serve, so you absolutely deserve. Famous
Yeah.
Brian Reese says that. Now, again, I was saying that there are different levels to those special monthly compensation, right? So the pay levels and the benefits, the rates really depends on the level of severity that you experience and the dependency status, right? So compensation is structured through levels K through S. Covering conditions, as I had said before, loss of limbs, severe impairments, daily aid and attendance. And again, how to apply. I see a lot of questions in the chat. How to apply for the special monthly compensation. So again, the VA automatically grants the SMC, special monthly compensation, if the veteran qualifies, right? But again, if this doesn't it doesn't always happen. Again, mistakes are made. Things do get overlooked sometimes. So if
Yeah.
SMC is missing from a decision, right, where the veteran, you should check your award letter. Of course, file for the request of special monthly compensation through va.gov. Seek expert education, right, to maximize your benefits and make sure that that is what you're going for and nothing else that's going to derail the percentage that you have. And of course, VA Claims Insider has educated over 25,000 veterans on how to navigate process successfully. Um, yeah. So again, I've never seen where a veteran had to apply for the special monthly compensation. I've seen where it was just automatic, right? But again, it's not one size fits all, right? Things do get missed,
Yeah.
mistakes do happen, things do get swept under the rug sometimes, not by purpose or anything, but things do happen in terms of mistakes. So if you see where you fall into any category of blindness, visual impairment, any severe deafness, housebound due to a service-connected disability, have that ED that is service connected, even if it's 0%, and you do not have that special monthly compensation, make sure that's something that you reach out to a expert on, as well as reach out to the VA. right? Review your decision letter in its entirety. That decision letter may have a lot of pages, but it's vital, right? So I know it comes with a lot of pages, but do review that in its entirety before jumping to any conclusions there.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
A
So tell us.
lot of those things are stuff that, again, maybe a lot of us don't even know, or maybe you've been denied in the past, and you're like, well, I guess I've been denied, so I can't go after it again. No, like Kim said earlier, medical evidence wins claims. So once you have the evidence to support your claim, don't ever give up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know. Just again, decision letters are not the easiest to read, right? You may get a denial. That is not the end, right? The VA is not saying, hey, you can't apply anymore. You can apply as many times as you need to, but make sure that when you're applying, you have the medical evidence to prove what you're doing or what is occurring with you, as well as how you're applying for your condition. Right. So again, not everything needs to be a direct or primary condition. You can absolutely go secondary if needs be. So again, you can always reach out to us at vaclaimsinsider.com. And of course, one of our team members will educate you on the process. I do see a lot of questions that I'm itching to answer, and we'll get to that here at the Q&A. So Henry, tell us about the VA special monthly compensation rates and what that looks like for different levels.
Yeah. Again, like she mentioned earlier, there's levels K through S. So they're all put in different categories. The K is usually the most common one. That's loss of use of creative organ, right? So there's what's called ED, erectile dysfunction, and then there's also female sexual arousal disorder, right? So that's one that usually falls under the K. Then there's L through O, which is assigned to specific disabilities and situations, loss of limb, right? Arm, leg, right? Depends, where it's at. Level R, right? If you're at level R, those for veterans who require daily assistance with fundamental tasks like dressing, bathing, eating, right? Maybe you're not able to have that, or of a veteran that is not able to do these things. They may qualify under the R. And then the S, right? S is reserved for veterans who are housebound due to their service-connected conditions. That has to be the most important part. Is a service-connected condition, because if you're housebound because of something that you're not service-connected, but you might be service-connected for other things, you won't qualify for it. So you have to make sure that it's something that you're service-connected for. Veterans with dependents, like children, spouses, that receive aid, they may qualify for increased benefits beyond the standard. So again, it's SMC is like, again, a secret menu that the VA has that is just, there's so many layers to it, right? The K, again, that's usually the most common one, is the K. That one is $136 a month, right? We're not going to go talk about that because there's just so many levels. And it all depends on the type of condition you have and how you qualify for it. But again, the K is usually the most one.
Common. I did want to address those rates can change too. And like a yearly basis, the rates can definitely change.
I did want to address something that I believe it was Mark Kendall, where he said, at same time, proceed carefully after you get to your 100, right? That to me is always one thing that I always share with my vets as they're coming through the process. Let's go after whatever we have to go after now, right? You don't want to hit 100% permanent total and then go after these SMCs, because doing that can kind of open you up to being reevaluated. And that's the last thing you want, right?
Absolutely.
You might stay at 100%, but yeah, you might lose the P&T. So, it's always something that I personally, as a coach, I always, kind of advise my vets, hey, you might want to do this before you hit the 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying what I was saying earlier, that again, even though it says in 2025 the rate for the level K is 136 and 6 cents, again that can change every year. So just a heads up there. And absolutely, right, back to Mark's comment, right? Get into that 100% permanent total, ideal, great, love it, right? Love life, of course, right? I personally would not do anything after that, right? I would not go after, again, this I'm speaking from myself, I would not go after special monthly compensation after getting to that 100% permanent total, right? Because as Henry was saying, that can open things up for evaluation, that can open things up for a possible decrease. Don't want to get to that pinnacle and then have to be
Yeah.
knocked off of that, right? So you've served, right? You deserve to be at the percentage that you are ethically and morally. So again, getting hit back down would not be something that I would want to see for any veterans at all, right? So
Yeah.
just a heads up there. And then of
For sure,
course,
yeah. Again, the most common one is SMCK, right? And that one really falls on majority under the loss of creative organ, right? So the erectile dysfunction and female sexual arousal disorder. You have to have it diagnosed. So understand that. If
yes,
it's not diagnosed, it's, there's no way the VA is going to ever service connect that for you. So make sure it's diagnosed.
yes,
Make sure that, everything that you are submitting to the VA, again, nexus letters, whatever it is that you need for that condition, that the VA understands that it's because of whatever you have, either mental health, um, maybe it could have been an injury that you had that caused it. So just make sure that everything that you submit is something that they have.
right. You have to get to the doctor, right? Henry just hit on a valid point that we always talk about here at VA Claims Insider, right? So in order to get a diagnosis to submit for a claim, you have to get seen, right? I know in the service, which I hear every day, you're possibly told to just shut up and carry on, right? Go on about business. There's no whining, there's no scene medical, nothing like that. However, in the claims world, post-military, you have to get seen. That's very important for the claims process. Again, strategy, education, medical evidence, right? Without that medical evidence, you have nothing to prove to the VA, right? So again, you can have, for example, an injury within active duty, say 1990, and here 2005, you're applying for the lumbar. The VA may look at it and say, hey, Kimberly, you don't have any chronicity or continuity of care. Like, what have you been doing over these last 30 years? Right? So you have to get seen by the doctor, right? Again, build your medical evidence, show the VA that, hey, this condition has persisted to date and it's gotten progressively worse, right? If it has. So getting seen is very important. Speak on what you're experiencing. What symptoms are you experiencing? How is it affecting your work life, your social life, your personal life, right? Even if you're retired at home, how is it affecting life at home? Right? What does it look like for you when you're getting out of bed? Is it that you have to roll out of bed sometimes with your back? Right? Even though I wasn't in the military, I can tell you I had an injury to my back. And there are some days I have to roll out of bed. Can't even get out of bed. Right? So those are the days that I would describe to my doctor so my doctor can get the level of severity that I've been experiencing, even if that's once out of the week. Right?
Yeah.
So very important to get your butts to the doctor. Very,
I
very
do want to
important.
say, especially again with K, but even like the other ones, as veterans, we don't like talking, right? Um,
Yeah.
we don't like to show emotions or none of that. But
Yeah.
and even like again with K can be deemed embarrassing, right, to some. But understand that what they don't know, they can't help you get rated for, right? So you want to share these things with not only that, but you're also missing out on the treatment because now you're not even telling your doctor, you're not telling anyone that you have this condition. And then forget about the compensation. You're not even getting the treatment that you deserve at the hospital. So you definitely want to go ahead and have your doctor diagnose you medication, treatment, whatever it is that you need. and obviously the cherry on top is the compensation. But my thing is always make sure you get the treatment, because that could be something that you may be needing for your daily assistance.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Advocate for yourself as best as possible. Again,
If you don't,
another
ain't nobody
great,
gonna do it.
right. Another great point that Henry touched on is that, again, a lot of veterans don't like to speak up about what they're experiencing because, again, it's the culture to just shut up and carry on and just suffer through the pain, right? Without you speaking up about what you're experiencing in your medical appointments or even in a CMP or compensation and pension examination, then again, you will not get what you deserve, right? You have to speak up. The medical professionals cannot assume what you're experiencing because that goes against their license and how they practice. So speak up for yourselves, right? Very important. I know I say this so often in the last minute or so, but it's very important to speak up, right? I would speak on my worst days, right? What does it look like for me and how it impacts my life and how it takes away from my life? But a lot of great questions in the chat. We'll get to those here in a few. Now, again, special monthly compensation. We're going to get to the questions here in a few. Again, it provides vital information, vital additional financial support to veterans with severe service-connected disabilities that go beyond the standard VA rating system. So again, whether it's the loss of limb, blindness, deafness, housebound status, or again, the need for daily assistance or special use of loss of use of an organ, SMC ensures that veterans receive the compensation they deserve for their sacrifices, right? So while the VA automatically considers SMC, that doesn't always happen. So again, sometimes you may have to apply. So again, review that decision letter in its entirety. So if you believe you qualify but haven't been awarded for the SMC, again, take action as needed. You can check your decision letter, file a request for this special monthly compensation on va.gov. And again, do not hesitate to get expert education if needed. Right? So very important.
So let's attack some of these questions, Kim.
Yeah, of course. All right.
There's one all the way at the top. San Bruno Ave. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How difficult is it to obtain a VA 0% disability rating? It's as difficult as getting a 70% rating, because what you're getting there is service connection. So even if it's at 0 or all the way at 100, that means that you got it service connected. And the way I look at it, me personally, is service connection means responsibility. So that means that the VA has taken responsibility for your condition, but they don't feel that your condition is worth 10, 20, 30, whatever. So getting it service connection, I feel like it's like 80% of the battle. The rating part, that you can always, you just need current medical evidence, but to get it service connected is as challenging again at 0 as it is at 70%.
Yeah, but it also, remember, so there are two ways for service connection. There, of course, is the causation factor. There is something that an event or an illness occurred on active duty to which you have it's verifiable, right? There's proof to show that this happened in active duty, right? So that's one. Or there's the way of aggravation, right? And aggravation could be where you're service connected for your tinnitus, and tinnitus is affecting you to the point where you're having migraines. Right, so you would do migraines secondary to the tinnitus, right? So there's the causation factor and there's the aggravation factor, right? So getting to that first step and getting your foot in the door, right? More than likely that's going to be causation, right? Due to active duty, right? So again, definitely reach out to us via claims insider.com, and you can speak with one of our team members, paired with a coach if needed, and go from there. Right. So at least have that conversation for us to let you know what's going on, where you may stand. Right. Mm-hmm. So all the best to you, Mr. Avenue.
All right. Go ahead. No, you got one.
Yes. I see one here that says, I am 100% Great, congrats. I hope that's permanent and total. Am I eligible for dental care, right? So dental care, from my knowledge, yes, but you have to be permanent and total, correct, Henry?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Yes. So 100% you're covered from under medical care, including dental. And I believe that is the only condition that you have to absolutely be at 100% to not like pay a copay for, which is the dental.
P&T. Yeah.
P&T, permanent and total. So I would suggest to reach out to your local VA to get enrolled in dental care, just in case that hasn't happened just yet. Right. But
Yeah,
congrats on your 100%.
before I hit the 100%, unless it was like an emergency and I probably still had to pay a copayment, they would never treat me for dental. Once I hit the P&T, then that's when I went to the VA and I was like, hey, I need cleaning. and they were like, okay, we don't do it here, but they referred me to somebody local. I went in, didn't pay anything, walked out. Have a good day.
Yes.
So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I believe you have to be P&T for that one.
Yes, yes, yes. And of course, we'll provide some resources, or team members in the background can provide some resources on what it looks like to get 100% P&T as well, right? Because again, there are different things that you are eligible for, especially the state that you are, as well as on the VA side of things. So I usually look at the VA matrix and look at the eligibility and show you what 100% P&T, what you're eligible for. So again, congrats on that 100%, Larry. I hope you're enjoying that. All right. Let's see a little odd question here from Mr. Tony Wasco. Hope I'm pronouncing your last name correct. He says that things are disappearing from my original claims. What can I do? Right, so I would need a little bit more from that. Your original claims, like you've filed them on va.gov, they haven't been approved or disapproved just yet. And they're disappearing. I'm not completely sure, but if you see where things are disappearing, again, there are a couple of things that I would do. I would absolutely call the VA and let them know exactly what's going on, but I would also do Ask Vera, right? I really like that tool. So it's Ask Vera, to where you can book a virtual appointment with someone within the VA where you can just ask more specific questions on what you're seeing and how you need to go about things, right? But I would get on that right away. Absolutely.
Not only that, if something is disappearing, like let's say you added medical evidence to your claim and when it comes back, you don't see it on the decision letter, do an HLR, right? Do a higher level review, 0996. When you do that, your claim now goes to a senior rater, and then they'll be able to look at it, fine comb through everything, make sure the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. But that could be something also. But yeah, there's just, that's a very odd. I have more questions.
Yeah, there's a lot more questions there. Yeah, absolutely. And also too, like there are different ways to appeal, right? I've seen where veterans, for example, they submit a mental health claim and it may come back denied, and we look through the evidence list and we don't see the evidence that should really be there, right? Honestly, that could possibly be a supplemental because you're re-adding the evidence because the VA, they did not acknowledge the evidence, nor is the evidence in the evidence list, right? So really and truly, that should constitute still as new and relevant evidence. But again, going into the world of a whole different thing. But there are different ways to do appeals. It really depends on that decision letter, the evidence list, and the decision narrative, what is stated, what is not stated, and how to proceed. But again, Tony, reach out to the VA at that 1-800-827-1000 number, and I would also do the Ask Vera, right? So make sure you have all your ducks in a row based on the questions that you need to ask.
Stefan, helpfully thing to add in a CMP exam for type 2 diabetes as a secondary to PTSD. So I'm assuming you're going in for your type 2 diabetes for your CMP exam. Just, what they're looking for is if you have a restricted diet, right? Or are you taking the medication, insulin? Are you both, right? So if you have both, you just want to explain all of that stuff to them, understand what it is that they are looking for, and Yeah. Now, how does that connect to? You always want to add how does it connect to your PTSD, right? Maybe because of your mental health, you started to eat differently or eat unhealthy, and then, so yeah, you want to explain. What I tell my vets is, if you didn't have this one condition, you would have never had this new one. So that's how you want to kind of explain it. How did this come from this other condition that you got?
Right. So yeah, and just to add to that, really, really talk about your symptoms, right? What are you experiencing with the diabetes? Because I know with diabetes, again, the fluctuation in weight and sometimes blurry vision and dizziness and all of that. As Henry said, what type of medication are you taking, right? Is it the Jardian, is it the insulin, is it the metformin, right? Be very clear on your medications that you're taking. And a big thing with the PTSD or just mental health, right? How it affects your mood and all of that, right? So having that depression, possibly having that depression, it gives you no mood or motivation to do anything, right? And so if you're eating and you're not moving, then you're going to pack on that weight, right? And so that may trigger that diabetes. So just be very clear on your primary and your secondary condition, because that examiner may say, hey, Mr. Steven, so how is your PTSD, right? And so you have to make sure that you're speaking about how that affects you and your lifestyle as well. So
yeah, I once had a vet that, obviously because of his mental health, what he was dealing with made him drink more. And as we all know, alcohol is not the most healthiest thing. So, he developed a whole bunch of illnesses from that. So again, you would have never had diabetes if you would have never had PTSD. So that's how you want to start to bridge the two things together. If that's what you filed for, you want to be able to explain that to them.
Absolutely. I see another question here from CC. Hello, CC. And they ask, can VA get records? I'm not sure where from, but from without authorization. So from my knowledge, you'd have to do, is it the 4142A or the 4142 for them to get any medical records, say from your private provider? Right?
Yeah.
So 4142
if it's
or
at the VA,
4142A.
they'll get the records without authorization.
Yeah, they'll look in your records, right? Of course, we want them to get your records. Well, again, it depends on the type of claim that you're filing for and what's in your records. But your private records, you'd have to give them authorization through that specific form. 4142, 4142A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a HIPAA violation if they got the records without your knowledge. Which again, I don't know how they would.
That's a whole nother compensation claim they do.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do that, but I've never seen that before. But again, if you want them to get those records, 4142A, 4142. All the best, CC. I do see a question here. And Henry could probably answer this too. So Lonnie asked, if claim is going to ACE, can you add evidence before Schedule ACE, right? So of course you can still add evidence. You can do it by a quick submit, right?
Yeah.
I think it's at least the latest 24 hours in advance. Okay.
Just understand that they may receive it or not, because sometimes the VA sends for those exams because ACE is still a CMP. So the VA may have sent out for that CMP and the doctor has it on their file ready to, deal with sometime later in the week. And if you submit that to the VA, by the time the VA sends it to that doctor, it may be too late. So,
yeah, you want to get I would say try to get all your evidence in one go or within a 48-hour, 72-hour time frame. I wouldn't do it at the last minute, really and truly. As well as, even though it's an ACE exam, which is the acceptable clinical evidence examination, they also call it a records review. That examiner may call to ask questions, right? So just make sure you're on your P's and your Q's with what you filed for, what your symptoms are, and how you are impacted, right? So just a heads up there. All the best, Lonnie, with your claim, your ACE exam. All the very best. I see some great news here from Louis Archibald. I am 100% PNT. I live overseas. What can I do to get my female doctor and dental covered. Now I know there is like a overseas medical that can be done. Henry, do you have any insight on this? I know I've seen it on va.gov, but I don't have all the information there, Lois.
And I don't want to say don't quote me on this because obviously this is recorded, so you're going to quote me on it. But from my understanding, and I could be wrong, if you're not service connected for the condition overseas,
Correct.
they won't cover it. You have to be service connected. Now in the States, it doesn't matter if you're service connected or not, because once you pass 50%, anything you do except dental at the VA is covered. But overseas, you have to be service connected for the condition. Because I know I've had quite a few vets that they'll be at 100% and they're trying to get like their back service connected. And that's the reason why. It's because overseas, and again, I could be wrong, but the VA won't cover it if it's not,
You're correct. You're correct. I just did a quick search. So it's the Foreign Medical Program, which is the FMP. So veterans they're covered for service connected conditions while living overseas. Right. So again, FMP, just research that, Lois, for the Foreign Medical Program, and then see how best you can get covered for medical care. And all the best. And congrats on being 100%.
Yeah.
That also is on the VA's website. So Foreign Medical Program, FMP.
Yeah. I always tell vets, just make sure when you're getting your information, obviously, and I think someone here put it here, how, we have great information. I do agree. We probably do have the best information, but the va.gov is where you want to make sure you get all your information from. That's the VA themselves. That's right. That's not Joe Smo on YouTube or this person on that. Like, you want to make sure that the site that you're looking at is a .gov site, not because there's a lot of websites out here that say so much information, but it could be, somebody else writing it. So again,
yeah, that can be misinformation. So just make sure that you are double checking, cross checking, all type of checking when it comes to information. And again, being at 100% permanent total, I would not file anything after that, right? It can set you up for a decrease, can set you up to open up things, and I wouldn't do anything after that. I would enjoy it to the best of my ability.
And listen, this is Kim and Henry saying we wouldn't, but at the end of the day,
I can't tell you what to do.
Your decision. It's
right.
your decision, but just understand the risk versus the reward, right?
Right. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't open up that 100% for $136, just saying, but that's from my perspective. But again, Mr. Rudy, he says, Rudy M. Lee Jr., can I apply for SMC for ED? So right, that should have been automatically applied. So do review your decision letter, especially under the first page where it talks about, I'll have to remember, there's some bullet points there, and it will say erectile dysfunction, service connected, and gives effective date. It usually says, again, special monthly compensation has also been awarded, right? So make sure you're reviewing your entire decision letter, but once you're service connected for ED, even if it's zero, that special monthly compensation is usually automatically applied. If it's not, then you want to reach out to the VA and get that situated.
And one thing Kim said earlier, that just so you guys have this awesome information, anytime you hear someone say call the VA, that's the number, 1-800-827-1000. So save it on your phone. Hey, call the VA for this. That's the number. 95% of the time, that's usually the number that you're going to call.
Absolutely. For that general information. But of course, if it's something more specific to your VA medical facility, then you want to get your local VA medical facility number. All right. So I see a question here from, let's see, Thomas Loretta Heron. I have 70% now. I have diverticulitis. I think he said, I'm not sure if that said GERD or I'm not sure what that says. That covered PACT Act. that cover pack, I have extra pay for prostate cancer, loss of use, right? So I know when it comes to the pack talk, or say, for example, under the Gulf War, there are some gastrointestinal issues that are covered. Diverticulitis may or may not be one of those, right? They're not specific to the type of gastrointestinal issues. It's like a broad, right? Just gastrointestinal issues. So again, you want to make sure that, again, you get with your doctor, build your medical evidence to see what's going on there. If you've made any complaints within service, then of course, that's something that could possibly be covered when it comes to direct cervix connection, but I don't know the specifics of your claim, right? But again, they're not specific on the type of gastrointestinal issues, right?
Yeah, it
But
just says gastrointestinal. Yeah.
Yeah. So very specific there. But again, if you're able to advocate for yourself, letting the VA know that, hey, I personally didn't have that issue before service, and I started to have issue after I left the Gulf War. Show your medical evidence, because that is very important. Then go for it. There was another part of your question. Sorry about that. Oh, did I miss that? I know you said something about prostate, but I missed it. Again, usually from the prostate as well, I will see ED comes from that, and special monthly compensation usually is awarded. Right, I've seen a few veterans with that, but again, I don't know the specifics to your claim, so you can absolutely book. Oh, you can absolutely book a discovery call with us at vaclaimsinsider.com. So again, you can speak with one of our team members, and you can get paired with a coach, and we'll go from there. Right, give you all the information to the best of our education.
We have a good question here from Ricky. I was approved for PTSD and it took 10 months total. I was denied after 5 months. I filed for an appeal and was approved 5 months later, but only received 5 months back pay. Why did I not get paid for the 10 months? I have filed 2 times to appeal. Okay, so back payment can always be a little tricky sometimes to talk about. There's things that you could do. You know, you can file an audit, right? HLR, and they can review that. That would be what I would recommend to do. But the way I was made to understand how back pay works is, if let's say you do an intent to file in January, but you don't get diagnosed with the condition in May, and then you submit the claim in September, you're not going to get back paid till January, right? Because you didn't have the condition technically. So in this situation, maybe 10 months ago, the VA feels that you didn't have the condition of PTSD. So to them, they're going by when it was diagnosed. So then it could have been 5 months, right? And then that's why you only got the 5 months of back payment, because that's when you technically had the condition, according to them. So now you just had to prove that you've had it, you know, for the 10 months.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Again, it really depends on a few different nuances. It could be the date that you're diagnosed. Again, effective date is another factor there. The evidence that you have, of course, as well to prove. So it's very important for you to review that decision letter. Again, you can file an HLR if you do feel like that 10 months you are you should be approved for that 10 months. So the HLR would be for effective date. Right. So there are 3 different ways to do HLR, but for that specifically, it would have to be effective date, because I wouldn't want you to do an HLR for evaluation of condition, right? That's not the HLR option that should be chosen. It would have to be specific for effective date. But as Henry said, you could also possibly do an audit before the HLR. So
now I do want to say,
high level review.
I do want to say, I know it's a sour taste, you missing the 5 months. But taking the win, right? I'm not saying to give up. Yes. I'm definitely not saying that. But soaking the win, because I've had vets sometimes, like, they're so focused on, like, oh, they didn't give me the rating I deserve. let's take in the win for a moment. Let's enjoy this win. Like you got something that you've been fighting for forever, and you finally got it. Especially PTSD is such a hard, thing to overcome as vets. Like we don't want to show weakness. We don't all of that stuff. So once you get past all of that, and then you get it service connected, let's take in the win first, and then fight for what you deserve.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
just my 2 cents.
Well said. Absolutely. Well said, Henry. I love that. I say, and all the best to you, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when we say HLR, we mean high level review. We're so used to
Yeah.
saying our acronyms. It's high level review. It's another form of an appeal. And again, with a high level review, you cannot add any new evidence. It's only the evidence that has been already submitted to the claim. So just a heads up there. Yes, Mr. Donald Miller. Good morning, good afternoon. That's exactly what we're saying, or what I would do. So it says, right, so are you saying that a veteran shouldn't poke the bear for a higher SMC? The veteran already has SMC L and K.
No, I'm not saying a veteran should it. I'm saying I.
Thank you for that, Henry.
Listen,
I can't tell you what to do.
Not at all. Me personally,
I wouldn't.
I'm good. I just wouldn't risk P&T, property tax, Champ VA, the money you get every month for $130 a month. I'm good. Me personally, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, again, we can't tell you what to do. We can only educate on what there is. But again, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. Absolutely not. Now, you work so hard. You've served. You work so hard to get to the goal that you're at. I wouldn't do that. So just a heads up there.
Yeah. Again, it's just so much. Again, if you think about the property tax, the Champ VA, all of that stuff. Yeah. Yes. Jose Ortiz. I'm 100% permanent and 68-year-old and wanted to know if I can get a Nexus letter and how, because I am a veteran who was in Camp Lejeune during and a question I would ask to your question, Jose, is you're 100% permanent in total. Why do you need a Nexus?
Yeah.
What are you trying to get service connected? One for everyone here. If it's a Camp Lejeune, that means that it's under the PACT Act, so that means that you don't need a Nexus letter, right? The PACT Act serves as the Nexus. That's what Nexus means. Nexus means connection. So the PACT Act serves as the Nexus in this situation. But I want to go back to my first question. If you're 100% permanent, just me being curious, maybe he's asking for a friend. That could be it.
Yeah, but still, even so, right? Again, if I, Kimberly Grant, I'm at 100% permanent in total, and I've worked so hard for that, I would not submit anything after that to jeopardize my 100% P&T, right? Now that I'm 100% P&T, my husband is covered under healthcare, right? We don't have to pay property taxes on our home. Why would I want to risk that for anything else? Not doing that. Right,
for the water contamination. I get that. But in this situation, let's say you do go and want to file that claim. If it's just to say, yeah, I got it service connected, hey, by all means, I get it. But if you're not even going to qualify for any special monthly compensation, and it's just to get it service connected. Yeah. Now, if it's, but they mentioned if it's for a lawsuit, then that's something different. Then you might want to hire an attorney for that, so they can look at to see if you even have a case.
But he did say he's in litigation, so yeah, that's definitely some law thing going on there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, again, Jose, I wouldn't touch that. But all the best to you, and I hope the litigation goes in your favor. If you're asking for yourself, I wouldn't do it, right? Again, just a heads up there. But congrats on being 100% permanent in total, right? It's a huge deal. All right, let's see a question here. Glossed over it for a little bit. Young one, should I go to to the CMP exams. I haven't received any communication on this, and the helpline I've called is to no avail. So if you have been scheduled for your CMP exams, right, you need to attend. Education here, you need to attend. I would not skip out on any examinations, right? That could be in person, that could be telehealth. You want to make sure you arrive early, whether it's in person or telehealth, right? You have to attend, right? If there has been no communication, excuse me, if you already have the date and the time, show up, right? But I would still call the VA just to see what's going on. I would also call that third party entity, whether it's QTC, OptumServe, VES, Loyal Source, whichever one of those companies has gotten you scheduled prior, reach out to them. If you're still not able to get through, I would still show up. If it is that you're there early, again, they'll give you the information that's needed, right? But I would not skip an exam.
I want to understand, should I go to the CMP exams? I haven't received any communication on this. So are you scheduled for the CMP or not? And if you are, go, like Kim is saying. If you haven't received any information about your CMP exam, then I would call the VA, again, 1-800-827-1000. And when I speak, hey, just want to check in, is everything all right? Do you guys need anything else from me? Also, when did you submit this claim? Because we're lately, we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled with the VA. Like, things are going very quickly, but that's not everyone, right? So the average we're seeing is like 5 to 6 months. That's like the sweet spot. But if it's sooner than that, like I had a vet, he submitted his claim 6 weeks ago. He's like, yo, I haven't heard anything. I'm like,
6 weeks. It's still early.
Like, listen.
But then you have those veterans that submit their claim on September 1st, and they already have a decision by September 5th. I've seen a couple of that this month, right? So it really depends, right? So Henry definitely asks some prying questions there, where, hey, have you been scheduled, right? And if you haven't been scheduled, just follow up with the VA, right? But if it's just a week ago or a month ago that you just submitted, they may not have scheduled it just yet. But I would call that 1-800-827-1000 number just to make sure you're on track, right? Also, look at the status and the stage of your claim, right? It goes from stage 1 to stage 8. Usually when it toggles between stage 3 and stage 5, back and forth, that's when the VA will reach out, or the third party, will reach out for to get you scheduled for that examination.
So he put here to check the comment he made before. So I'm 90% and submitted a claim for 2 secondary conditions and received decision later, and ratings for 1 at 0, and submitted an HLR, but they didn't close the claim. I'm scheduled for CMPs again, no HLR. So yeah, if your claim now, if after the HLR, what they're doing now is they want to gather more evidence, usually duty to assist, or I forgot the other one.
Difference of opinion.
They want is more evidence, so that's why you're scheduled for a CMP for those things. Even if you already went to one, they just want more information.
Good. I'm sorry I missed that first one. But yeah, all the very best, right? Now you don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 months for that high level review phone call, because it's a wait sometimes. But all the best on your CMPs. Again, make sure you're speaking about your symptoms, right? I would speak on my symptoms, how they affect me on my worst days, my work life, my social life, my personal life. So all the very best to you, Mr. Young.
Yeah.
All right. But again, even if we don't get, so we're not going to get to all the questions. Again, we have our team members in the background that will get to your questions at the end, provide resources as needed. Again, you can absolutely reach out for a discovery call via claimsinsider.com and speak with one of our team members, get assigned with the coach. But it was great speaking with everyone this morning, or just answering the questions. I hope we provided some insights, educational insights on the special monthly compensation.
Thank you, guys.
Do check out Yeah, do check out our blog via claimsinsider.com, and you can see a wealth of resources there. And all the very best on your claims journey, all the very best in general. And see you guys later.